So this topic I'll be teaching today. So coming to the Axios, so Axios is nothing but whatever the thing that you need to fetch, or like it is in the sense like I can just tell these things that you can do. What is that? You can post the data, you can get the data, and you can update the data. Okay, so I'll just write a note for you also, that is think this is not your file. I'll take your file. Okay, so over here I need to go. I'll just, yeah. So our 47th question, that is, what is Axios, and I think spelling is correct. Yeah, and you need to also know 48. Why do we Axios? What 49th? The methods are in Axios. And 50th question, how to fetch the data, or I can also tell this as get the data using Axios. So these questions and all, like, we'll be clearing, I'll be clearing it now. Okay, so, and 51, so till 50 I'll clear it for you. These things I'll be clearing, this 51 question I'll be clearing it for you when we are doing CRED operation. So that is in next class. So how to post the data to the JS file using Axios. 50-second. How to update the data using Axios. 53rd, how to how how to delete the data using So in tomorrow's class I'll be telling you the CRUD operation. CRUD operation. Okay. So this is one of the important thing, guys. You need to know. So okay, this is one of the important things while calling the API. Okay. So let us just go through and I'll just tell you. So before that, what is the first step of doing? So how to use that? Steps to use Axios. First, install the Axios using the npm install Axios. So let us just install that. So I'll come here and I'll write npm install Axios. See, my installation is done. So if you want to check like whether it is installed or not, you need to go for package.json and you need to check whether it is installed or not. See, I have installed my Axios. See, are you able to see over here? So I have installed this. I have installed the Axios version of 1.7.7. Okay, this is the at present current version. So the current version it is installed. So let us also confirm that Axios current version, Axios current version. See, the latest version is 1.7.7. So have we installed the same version? Right, we have installed the same thing. So you can just confirm it. And what is the next thing that we need to do? So we need to know how to use that. Right? So while using that in your whatever the thing I can tell, that is your JSX component. So this is the first step. Second step is while using the Axios in your components, that is JSX or JS components, you should first import Axios. Okay, you need to import Axios from Axios. You need to import it first. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'll just create one of my component over here, that is I'll just give the name as Axios only. Axios dot JSX, and I'll take my component. Okay, and so what will I do now? So first I'll be just taking hi, this is Axios file. I'll just display this message. Okay, I think so. I have written Axios in the smaller case. See, this is the mistake that we do. Okay, I'll just try to alter this, and I'll also alter this over here. See, if I alter the file, see, it is showing in the smaller case only, because once you create the file, right, the first data will only take. See, are you able to see here inside the component? Still it is showing in the smaller case only. Okay, but even though you can just take it, it will work. So I just run and show. So what is the command to start the like React project? That is npm start. I'll run it. So what is an error? See, now the error gone. So why it was been showing error? Because previously it was like this, that is, it was in lower case. So whenever I change it to uppercase, the error is gone. You can just see over here, that is the output. See, I am able to display my data. So I need to display the data, whatever the thing it is in this database. So how do we do? How do we do? Guys, any idea? I need to display the data. I need to display the data, whatever it is there in this. So how do we do? How do we do? Any idea, guys? Guys, any idea? Aman, Ayan, any idea? How do we display? So I'll give you another 5 minutes. Just go through that. How, like, if you might get any idea. Okay. So already you came to know how do we use and for what we will be using this Axios. That is for getting the data, and for updating the data, and for posting the data, right? So these things. But we want to get the data. So how to get the data? So you just have a search of that. So you will be having some idea. So why we are using, okay? So I'll give you a 5 minutes of time. You can just go through this topic. So Axios, right? I was here like where like how to get the data. So how do we get the data in the sense? So if you want to like when you have been created something over here, I need to fetch the data from one of my database. That is, imagine this data I need to fetch. So first what I will be doing, I need the URL. Okay, so this is my URL. So I'll just take down over here the third step. Take the respective URL from which you want to get the data. Okay, so whatever the thing, that is whatever the data that you want to fetch na, so that specific URL that you need to fetch. So I have taken this URL, I'll copy this, and like you can also directly do, or else you can also store it in one of the variable. So I'll just take const URL is equals to and next what we need to do, so we need to fetch the data using the Axios. So how do we fetch? So there is some option that they are showing over here. So what is that? So this is the different example that they are showing over here, and so this is one type of, I'll just show you. See, this is one type of fetching data, and this is another type of fetching data. So this one they are posting something. Actually, we don't have anything to post. So this is using async and await. Okay, using the async and await. So there's a spelling mistake. Yeah. So this is a function using async and await. You get the same answer for both the things. Okay. So let me just show you. What is the error it is showing? Axios is not defined. See, we didn't call the Axios, so it is again showing Axios is not defined. So we need to call this Axios. So first, what is the step I told? We need to call the Axios. No, not this. So how to call? We need to import it, right? Import Axios from Axios. The error is gone. See, you can just go and check it. The error is gone. We'll just also open console.log. What is the error it is showing? Error while trying to use this icon. Okay. I need to call this data. So see, we have written the function and I need to call the data whenever the browser gets starts. So whenever I open this browser, that is whenever I open my tab, this one, whenever I open this one, I need to fetch the data. I need to get the data. So how do we get that data? Means I need to call this function. So if I call this function only, I'll be able to do na. So how to call this automatically? Any idea? Using use effect we'll be doing, okay? Using use effect we'll do. So how do we do? So we just call that particular, what I can tell. You can also directly do like this. Take the use effect, call it, import it. So I have imported the use effect. Okay. And if you try it now in the console, you are getting some data. Are you getting the data? See, if I remove this use effect, what will happen? I'll close this. I'll refresh it. Am I getting the data? Am I getting? I need the response, guys. See, I am not getting the data. So, can anyone frame some, what I can tell, definition for use effect? See, if I am using the use effect, I am able to get the data. So, how many data are there? Total 100 data are there. That is 100 data are there in one of the array. So 100 objects I can tell. So are you understanding this, how to fetch the data? If you want, I'll just write this one in split by split. Okay. See how we are doing that. First we are taking one of our function, that is function, and I'll be giving a function name for this, that is get data from URL. Okay. From URL get data from URL. So this is my function name. Okay. So I can also, if I want, this is a type of normal function that I am writing. So if you want to write in this type of, that is arrow function, you can also write like that. That is, how do we write an arrow function? You can also write like this, not an issue. So I'll create it in as an arrow function only. Okay. And what is the next thing that you need to do? Here they have used in the form of async and await. Okay. So what is async and what is await? So I told you na, I'll be telling what is async and what is await. Async is nothing but it get the response. Okay, that is, it get the response, that is, you can also tell that response and request and okay, over here, so here you will be getting two things. One is response and request, and another one is okay, I'll just show you that syntax of, let me show you the syntax of that. Yeah. So what is the syntax? Oh, they are not given this site. There is something called as async await and next also async await, and inside that async function, it returns whatever the, like, I can tell what it is there over here. Yeah, that is what they are telling. Now it returns something called as promise. So in this promise only, like you will be having request and response. Okay, there will be, it will be taking two types of things, that is request and response. Request is nothing but, response is nothing but whatever the response you get. Request is nothing but whatever the request you give. So I'll also write this over here. This will be 54th question. 54th question. So this is bit confusing for you guys, so you need to understand this. Okay, so what is asynchronous function and what is response and request, and there is something called as next also. So you will not be using that usually. '55. So let me take only take these two things. So request is a thing that you usually take that. So response is, so request means you will be sending the data that is from your side. So whenever you are doing learning one of your backend language, that is it might be what I can tell, Node.js, Java or so on. Like you will be understanding that. Okay. So now you don't need to worry about these things. So this request and response. So for that only, you see, we are just taking the response. So what is the response that we are taking is, so we are just taking the data, na? So for that only they have used to handle the error. So what if any errors comes, how to handle that? So for that what they have done, they are just taking something called as try and catch. So you know why we use try and why we use catch. So inside the try, so first we are trying that what is the data whether we are getting or not. That is const response. So this response only I am taking. Const response is equals to await. So await is nothing but you just enter inside the promise. Since you have promise now, you need to await that. Okay. To if you want to await that data, you will be using this await. So I am just entering that, and then Axios dot get data. So what is the data I need to fetch? I can also give this URL directly also, and I'll just comment this line. I can also directly give this URL inside the double quotes. Can also directly give, and if you want to check whether this URL is correct or not, just go over on that and control plus click. So it will take to that same page. Okay. See, this tab is open now. Before the same tab only, it is open now. It will navigate to there. And what is the like this one we have just seen, na? We need to know whether we are getting the response or not before displaying that. So how do we check that? I'll check it in console window. and if any error comes, I'll just print error in my console window. Okay, so let me go and check. So this one is not running yet. Why? Okay, this window is different, nah? Not this, sorry, by mistake I opened. So what is the error it is showing over here? What is the error? Why does it is showing this? Any one of you? Any one of you? Because we didn't call this function. We have called a different function name over here inside the use effect. So if I just change this name, function name, I'll be able to get it. I'll just display my data. I'm getting 100 array. Am I getting it? Am I getting this data? Total length is 100. Am I getting the data?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am getting the data. So how to fetch? How to display that data over here? Means whatever the data one by one over here. Any idea? Any idea, guys? So I am getting the data. How do we store that data over there? I mean, I'm just getting the data. I need to display that data on the browser. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Any idea? Any idea, guys? So instead of this message printing on the browser, I need to print that over here. So how to do? How to do? How to do? That is my question. See, for that what we will be doing is, we need to take first use state, one of the use state, and I'll just make this as, so what is the data we are taking? Something like photos, right? Or posts. Okay, this is the data we are taking, na? I'll make it as posts, and over here set posts, and I'll leave this as an array only. Over here I'll just send the data, I'll set the data. So how do we set the data, guys? I need to set this data for this post. So for that what we'll be doing, so all the data is over here. Okay, I'll just write set post is equals to, like, what are all the things that inside the, so this one should hold the response of this one. So whenever we type this thing, we are getting the response. Now see, if I write only response, I will not get anything. If you want, I can just go and show in the console log. I'll just show you. Just a minute. See, I'm getting the data. I'm getting the data. Here I'm getting the data. So I need to go and fetch this particular data. So I don't want this status and so on. See, I'm getting the status as 200. I need to get this data. So for that only I have written dot data over there. So if I just write dot status, so what I'll get? Undefined. Sorry. I'm getting 200. My status is 200. That is like we get the error messages and so on. Like the 200 means it is successful and so on. Before 300, it is successful data messages. So what if I write so I think so you are understanding this one. So why I am writing this data and so on. See, I am getting the status text and whatever the headings it is there, so on. So these are some of the data when I am getting the response. As a response, I am getting these are data. These are the data that I am getting as a response. Okay. So these are some of the response that I am getting. So data inside this data I am getting 100 arrays and the status is equals to 200 and the status text is equals to nothing and whatever the heading it is there heading, whatever the headers are there I am getting so on. The response is nothing but we are getting so on. So here what I need to get? I need to get the data. So in almost in every URL you will be getting like this only. Whatever the URL you take, in this format only you will be getting. So response dot data you need to take, okay. So I'll be taking response dot data because I need to fetch the data. Okay, I need to get the data. So for that I am taking response dot data. Now I will be just getting my data. Am I getting my data? So hundreds of data, whatever it is there in this. And I will be storing it in one of my variable, that is using the use state. And if I want to check this, I'll just close this, comment this, and if I want to confirm whether I am getting in this part or not, what I need to do, console.log, I'll just cancel this first. Okay, I am getting one error, that is I didn't import the use state. See, I am getting that data. So before it was this one, okay, it was an empty array, and later it got I am getting the output. Okay. Am I getting the output? See, if I remove this line, I will not get the output because I am printing it in the console.log. I will show you if you want. I will refresh and I will show you. See, I am not getting any data. So if I just remove this and if I reload, I am getting the data. I will reload once again. See, I am getting the data. Okay. You need to practice this, then only you will be understanding. So this is one of the type of fetching data using Axios. There is another type of fetching data. Okay. So what is that? This one. This is actually simple. You can understand easily. You can just use then and catch method. Okay. This is nothing but using then and catch. So this will be easy. This is what I prefer for you guys. As a beginners you are. Okay, this is what I prefer. So since we have commented URL, I'll just uncomment this. So what is going over here is in this method is nothing but this is very simple. You can follow this method actually. I'll just tell you. See, we are just using axios.get and I'm just passing the whatever the URL it is and I'll be using one of the then. Okay. So what you can do is you can just pass this inside one of the function. So I'll just same, that is const okay. So I am just passing the URL first. So I am just taking axios.url, okay. And if you use then, you don't need to use async and await. Okay, if you use then, you don't need to use async and await. You can directly take then and that is you can just take dot then method and you can just directly take the response, that is response so what is the response? So response is nothing but you need to print it, nah? So whatever the thing that response you need to get, you need to print it. For that you are just taking the same thing only which you have written over here, but this function you will be not using async and that is async and await. This is without async and await and that one is with async and await. So let us just first print inside the console window. So I am not getting the output now. Why am I not getting the output? Anyone can? Aman, why am I not getting the output now? Why am I not getting the output? I didn't call the function over here. See, I didn't call the function. I got the output right now. And if I want to display and if I want to store this, I'll be storing it in one of my variable. Okay, so it is stored and again it is printing. See, so basically why do we use effect is for every changes. I can just tell so it accepts. So what is the definition I have written is use effect is used to load the data whenever there is any changes made in some of the data. So whenever you change any data, well, like for example if you are updating the data na, so at that time also it is used and it automatically loads the page whenever we like changes made. So actually I have written two times na. Whenever the changes made, it automatically loads whenever the changes is made. And it accepts the two types of arguments, that is one is callback function and another one is the target. So which one you need to target and so on. Okay. So what if I write this one as 0 or 2? See, it loads two times. If you want, you can just check. Or else you can just take this as dependency. So I'll just tell you this proper syntax, okay? Don't worry about this now. So for that only you usually use this. So I think so you understood why we are using this use effect to automatically load this. We use effect. Okay. So again I'll just show you. Yeah. So I have stored it inside that, what again I can tell, in console dot, that is in the post. So if you want, I'll just show you like inside the post whether it is there. Console dot log of post. See, am I getting the data? I'm getting the data and I have been stored all my data inside the post. Okay. So I need to take all the data from the post and I need to do. So for that I'll be using something called as map method. Map method. Okay. So I'll be using map method. So how do we use map method? Before using the map method, first we need to take the data, that is, what is the data? Post. So now we are just taking everything inside the post, na? So I'll just take post dot map. So I'll be mapping this function. Okay, and I'll return whatever the data I need to return. I'll take this argument as x, so you will not get confused. So what are the things that we are having over here? That is, first one we have ID, and the second one we have something called as title, and the fourth one, what is the next thing we have? ID, title, and okay, only ID, title we have actually. The user ID and ID also is there, and we have something called as body. Okay, body is also there, title is also okay. Only these three things we have. So we need to display for all the data, right? We need to display for all these things. So what we'll be doing? See, all the data is print. Total 100 data are printed over here. So am I getting this data? The hundreds of data. Similarly, you can do the same thing for this one also. That is JSON photos also. So will you do that using the same? You need to fetch all these 500 photos, all these 500 data. So will you do this? This is your assignment. So I'll be ending my session for today. So for today your that is Axios is completed, and total Axios is completed. I need to just tell you the post request, that is CRED operation. So I'll be telling you the CRED operation in the last. Okay. So if you guys complete this one, only I'll be able to tell that. So I'll be stopping my session.